Hey, now I can talk. It's 4:30.
Like, where are you?
Well, I was trying to get it recorded, and then I had to call it up, and then I hit a button, and then it stops, and then it starts, and it goes bling on the radio, and
Well,
it's
I
like,
thought I heard that.
you heard it, all right.
Hi, Christy. How are you today?
Oh, do I have you turn on? Which microphone? Okay, there. This one, maybe this one.
Can
Okay,
you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
I just
All
turned
right.
them all on. I don't even know which one you're at.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, I see it now. Very good. Now say it again.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome.
All right.
All right.
What are you doing here anyway? You just come in off the street or
Christy
what?
from
Sure.
HS St. Anthony's Memorial Hospital, welcome to the
Thank
drive
you.
home. We're
Thank
going
you.
to talk about, is it occupational therapy?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that's what I thought.
All right, which is a great thing. People,
It is.
it's surprised how many people you can help with occupational therapy.
Well, we try. That's what we're here for. So,
What are you? Are you an occupational therapist?
yes.
All right.
Yes.
Where'd you go to school at? Just curious.
Evansville, University of Southern
Yeah.
Indiana.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
My niece just getting ready to graduate from there. Not for that, but for something else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
great
been a few
college.
days since I've been there, though.
Just a few?
Yeah.
Oh, you look like a co-ed. What are you talking about?
No.
No, okay.
Now today we're talking about occupational therapy for stroke patients, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, what kind of things happen to a person when they have a stroke?
Well, there's lots of different things that it can affect. It can affect your speech, and we have speech therapists that can address that with swallowing. It can affect you being able to use your leg, being able to use your arm, which can translate into you being able to walk, being able to take care of yourself, being able to write your name, lots of different things like that. Your balance, being able to get out of a chair, all those kinds of things can be affected.
And what's really strange about strokes, if you've known some people who have them, none of them are the same. You never know
Right.
exactly how it's going to affect somebody.
Right, that's definitely true. Some people it is very mild, where they just have a little bit of trouble with coordination, and the other people, they have increased tone in their arm or their leg, and then they never get that all the way back. Mm-hmm. And some of my patients will say, they feel like they've had a hard time because they've had a stroke has affected their lives, but some people die from strokes.
Yeah.
And so you always have to be thankful that you've come out on the other side.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good to know there are people like you who are there to help them get stronger and live a
Yes.
better life with your occupational therapy.
Correct.
Which is great. Say you know somebody who had stroke, maybe you have. When can you start therapy after having a stroke?
Well, the doctor typically will order it right there in the hospital. So if they see something's going on, then they'll want us to come in and start working with that patient right away, as long as they're medically stable. So
Is it better the quicker you start in on it, usually the better it is for the patient?
Yes.
Okay.
Typically, yes. Because then you get that brain cells reactivated, and you get those muscles before they get even weaker.
Okay.
So the doctor will typically start ordering therapy right there in the hospital. We'll come in and see you there as you progress through the hospital, and then you can go on to home care. They can see you at home if you're not able to come in for outpatient therapy, and then we have you come in for outpatient therapy if you need it, because we have a few more resources there, different equipment that we can use in outpatient therapy than we can in home care or in the hospital.
A little personal question. I know you've done this for quite a while. Have you ever seen a deal after a stroke where you didn't think it was going to help somebody? It was like a really major stroke, and were you really, really surprised the outcome, how they got so much better? Have you something like that?
Yes, that's why we do what we do, is because you can see progress in patients. And so, my husband tells me I'm a cockeyed optimist. And so he says, I always see the positive side of things. So that's, we don't ever tell a patient we don't think they're going to get better, and we always hope for the best. And so sometimes you'll see people that are severely affected by their stroke, and then it's like, okay, then look, you're able to walk now. You're able to do this. And then finally, when they're coming for outpatient therapy, they're still discouraged because they're not all the way back, but it's like, look at how far you've come.
Look what happened, and
Yeah.
and it's got to make you feel good when you
Right.
bring somebody who is that far in bad shape all the
Right.
way back to coming up and walking. That's awesome.
A lot
Right.
of times it's just encouraging them to show them that they are better, because they may not think that they are.
Correct.
But when they come back to see you and you see that they are a lot better than the last time.
Yes, and it always helps them to go, well, look at what you weren't able to do before. You couldn't even get out of bed by yourself, and now you're walking in here, and so they always need that encouragement and a reality check, I guess, as to how good they are doing.
Very interesting. It's just great
Yeah,
work.
no kidding.
That's why we're in radio. We wouldn't even know where to begin.
Well, yeah. Now, what happens when a person goes to the outpatient therapy?
Well, we always do an assessment, so we'll see what areas you're having trouble with. And we want to ask you, okay, what do you feel like you want to work on? You know, is there specific things that you're having trouble doing at home, or things that are really affecting your life? So we want to work on those. And then, of course, we check grip strength. We'll check your hand strength, your coordination. We'll check your arm strength. And for physical therapy, they'll check your legs, walking, balance, those kinds of things. And the speech therapist would then check if you're having trouble with speech or with swallowing, with thinking skills, all those things. And we can also, for occupational therapy, we also work on visual perception, which is like depth perception, how far away things look to you, because that can be affected with a stroke also.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting to me. That's one area I really enjoy working with, is a patient will reach for something and their eye-hand coordination is off because their vision is off.
Having trouble picking, just knocking stuff over.
Right.
That's very interesting.
Right. And so there's lots of different things we can do with that too.
Curious on you say usually on a stroke, a lot of times it'll happen on one side or the other.
Right.
Is there left or right side? Which one does it happen to the most?
I feel like I've seen more left side affected.
Okay.
But I don't know
It
that
just
there's
varies,
really,
huh?
yeah. And some, if you have a stroke on one side of the brain, it can affect speech more than on the other side. There's, it depends on what side of the brain your stroke is on, that exactly what is affected typically. But I don't think there's I haven't heard of any real research about one side being more common.
Now
Simon, you need to get that scientist to go out there and do that.
Right.
Now, the length of therapy, I guess that just depends on the individual. You can't say we're going to have therapy over 4 weeks or 6 weeks. It really depends on the patient.
Right. And it depends on what they want, what they have to work on. If we're starting where you can't move your arm at all, and we want to get it going, then we would probably work with you 2 or 3 times a week for an hour each time, and probably for 6 or weeks or more, depending on how fast you progressed. Now, if you're only working on, say, some vision issues or some fine motor coordination, then we might only see you twice a week for 45 minutes, and it might take just a few weeks where you'd be like, okay, I'm getting the hang of this. I can do this on my own.
Do it at home, and and then you just come in for checkups or that end of it. That's great work.
Yeah.
What are your goals if people out there have had a stroke, and typical goals for a person?
Well, we try and make them measurable, something that we can say, okay, your strength went from this to this. So when we test strength, we'll do it on an out of 5 rating scale.
Okay.
So if you can lift your arm against gravity, but if I push on you, it goes down real easy, that's 3 out of 5. And so if that's what it is, then we're going to want it to go up to 4 out of 5 so that you can take some resistance and you can pick up things, out of the refrigerator or
pick
whatever.
up a gallon of milk or something like that.
So that's one way that we measure strength. For coordination, then we have you do a peg test. So you have to pick up these pegs and put them back down within a certain amount of time, and we can compare one side to the other. If your good side is 30 seconds to do these 9 pegs, and your affected side is 1.5 minutes, then we know we want to get that slower side. So that's one measurable goal. We have some other standardized assessments that we'll do for the vision, those kinds of things, and also just increasing your independence. So if you're having trouble, like for occupational therapy, we were founded on making sure patients can take care of themselves. So activities of daily living, bathing, dressing, toileting, all those kinds of things.
Yeah, that's the main things right there.
And so for outpatient, we don't do that as much, but because by the time you've gotten to outpatient, that a lot of times you're doing those things okay on your own. So, but sometimes there are still issues that you have with that. And so we can say that you want to be able to do those things independently, tie your shoes, get your socks on, those kinds of things that sometimes people are still having issues with because they can't bend down, they can't. Yeah.
It's amazing the work that therapists can do on all different parts of your body and everything.
Absolutely.
It's very good. So how long have you been with HSHS?
16 years.
16 years.
Oh, wow.
You've seen a lot, haven't you?
Yeah. And I've actually been a therapist for 24 years, which is hard for me to believe. So.
Oh, wow. Well, that's awesome.
That's very good. So obviously you're good at what you do, and you love what you do.
I do. I do. I enjoy it. Getting to see patients improve and and get better and be able to do things that they want to do.
Now, if someone needs to start therapy, I know you mentioned that they'll get them scheduled. When they're in the hospital. Let's just say maybe they don't know. I mean, they just want to start the therapy on some level. How can they get in touch with you, Christie?
Well, they need to get an order from their doctor. So,
Yes.
and their primary physician or a specialty physician, either one, can send us a referral. They can fax it to our office at the sports complex, and I can give you that number. The fax number is 347-1558. So if they send an order over to the from the doctor, then our front office staff will contact that patient and try and get them scheduled. And once we do that evaluation, then we'll set up further appointments based on what they need.
Very nice.
All right.
So,
All right, well, keep doing
Sounds
the good
great.
stuff, the good work. That's a good, awesome. There's people that need this, and it's good to have somebody around who can do that.
thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Christie.